All right, so our last lesson we talked about this idea of cubes and cubic measure, because that is indeed what we use to figure out the volume of three-dimensional figures. And recall, volume is a measure, and it measures the space inside of a three-dimensional figure. So it's the space of the amount of space of the inside of the object. And we measure volume in those cubic units, because they quite literally are cubes, and that is because it is a three-dimensional measure. So we have to use a three-dimensional thing to measure a three-dimensional object, and cubes are indeed 3 dimensions because it has a length, a width, and a height. So let's take a look at this picture. I think this demonstrates really nicely what's going on. So we can calculate the volume of rectangular prisms, and that's the shape we're going to focus on in 5th grade. In 6th grade, you'll look at other, more complicated shapes, but we'll stick with just this by filling the object with these cubic units and counting them. And that's what we did last lesson. So we have this blank rectangular prism that's 5 centimeters wide, 3 centimeters deep, and 2 centimeters high. And what we can do is we can start filling those with the cubes, okay? And so you'd be able to, and this would be 1 cubic centimeter. So it's gonna be a centimeter by a centimeter by a centimeter. And let's look at this breakdown. We can fit 5 cubic centimeters going across because it's 5 centimeters across. So we can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going across. We can fit 3 going back because it's 3 centimeters. So you have 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. And so that gives you a grand total of, 5 across and 3 back. That gives you a total of 15 cubic centimeters because you would do your 5 times your 3. And that's just gonna be the bottom layer. But now recall, we do have a height to this prism, and we can fit 2 layers of that because it's 2 centimeters high. So we can lay another set of these cubes on top because it was 2 centimeters tall. So you have 1 centimeter on the bottom, 1 centimeter on the top. So that gives us a grand total of, if the bottom was 15 and we put an identical layer on top, that's 15 and 15, which is 30 cubic centimeters. So that is the prism's volume. Now, it can be really time consuming to, create these pictures with the boxes and counting them all up. So thankfully, we do have a formula or an equation we can use. And that's going to be, we're going to take a look at just rectangular prisms for today. And the shortcut for the volume of a rectangular prism is all you need to actually do is multiply the length times the width times the height. So let's see if our top example, if that actually ended up working. Is it true? So we know our volume was 30, and does that equal your 5 times your 3 times your 2? 5 times 3 is 15, times 2 is 30. So it did even work out up here, and we created that picture to prove that, yes, this is 30 cubes that fit into our original picture, our original rectangular prism. So let's go ahead and we can count up these cubes, or we can go ahead and use our shortcut. So we know that volume is length times width times height. So we're gonna do 4 inches times 3 inches times 2 inches. 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24. And remember, these are cubic inches, so you must use the exponent 3 all the time. Always, for volume, you're always using the exponent of 3. And let's go ahead and count up those squares just to double check. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these cubes in front, and I have 3 of those layers of 8, and 8 times 3 does also get you your 24 cubic inches. Let's do another example together. So we know that volume in general is equal to length times width times height. I'd love it if you could write that down. Let's go ahead and plug in what we know. So we've got 6 feet times 3 feet times 3 feet. All right, let's do some multiplying. 6 times, actually I'm gonna do the 3 times 3 first because that makes it a little easier. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 6 is 54. Cubic, exponent of 3, cubic feet. And we could go ahead and count these up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 in the front. And you have 3 layers of that. So 18 times 3, let's just double check and make sure that gets us the 54 cubic feet that we see in this picture. Yep, and it does also end up giving us 54. So even counting all of those blocks gives you that 54 cubes. See these cubes that you can be fitting into that shape. All right, I want you to go ahead and try these on your own. I'll actually do the first one with you, and then I want you to tackle the rest on your own and check the answer key on the website. So we don't have the pictures of the cubes, and drawing the pictures would be really time consuming. So let's just go ahead and jump in and use volume equals length times width times height. That's the first thing I always want to see you write down is the trifecta. So write down the formula. Substitute in, so we know this is going to be 8 feet times 2 feet times 3 feet.